So, whether or not you've done any of simplified organization so far, whether you're new or whether you bought it and it's just sat there, because that's something that happens, right? Or if you've done a little bit, I know a lot of people get, they just stop progress because they feel like they have to have it perfect before they move on, one piece all the way 100% before they can move on. And that's really not what simplified organization is about. Simplified organization is, my plug won't stay in, is about the big picture, the overarching, like all the pieces that need to be in place, but none of them have to be in place perfectly for you to see progress. And for you to, I'm just double checking my sound. For you to see progress and to have something to come back to when life changes, because it will change, right? And we have to be able to roll with the punches, as we say, and work the plan. But it's a way to step back and do a thorough brain dump and really examine what's going on in your life. And if you feel the chaos, you feel the mental clutter, the distraction, the feeling pulled in a million directions, you're going to go through the pieces of work, the plan to, quickly even, and figure out which one of these is the one that's really tripping me up right now. And if I at least examine my life in light of these categories, what insights do I get that help me have the cheerful roll with the punches attitude about it all? Not have all the pieces in place so that I can control my own life, but how do I pull all the pieces of our life together so that I can handle life calmly and cheerfully and with some resilience, right? Resilience from, because life is going to throw things at us, and we need it's that flexibility or bubble where things bounce off. We can handle it without falling to pieces. And even just knowing the categories for how to handle things, even if all those categories or systems are not perfectly in place, even just knowing what they are and getting a start helps tremendously in that resilience and the calmly and cheerfully doing the next thing. So it's even this 12-week interval, I'm just going to tell you up front, we are not going to work through every single little bit of the course and get it all up and running perfectly. That's not our goal. Our goal is to get an idea of all the pieces, to start putting some of them in place, and to identify one or two areas where you, in your life, are going to really hone in on and really develop one or two areas, or you have maybe one overarching goal with something that's going on in your life right now that you need to get a handle on. Maybe it's a place in your home that you need to get a handle on. But you're going to identify one focus. And then all these pieces in simplified organization, and there are a lot of pieces, right? There are 6 modules, and they each have 5 or 6 pieces per module. That's a lot of things. And we can use all those different things as tools for addressing our goals. Our goal, single would be better. So yes, starting is the hardest part. Knowing what the next step is, that's so true. So simplified organization is really laid out to be a process that we go through again and again, not just a I've done it. And so now I'm going to have the perfect plan and I'm going to be able to control life as much as I can. It's about going through the process to get a handle on things. It's like, okay, when I feel like things are falling apart, this is where I need to start. And this is the process I can go through to figure it out. And just, yeah, handle life with resilience. So, do you have your notebook? I have mine. You need a notebook and a pen or pencil, and we're going to start that brain dump. And now I have a free brain dump guide, and a brain dump is a part of pretty much any program that I do. So let me know if you are not familiar with a brain dump. Heather has a purple pen. Perfect. Mine's black. Okay. So a brain dump is just writing things down on paper. Just get it out. Don't keep information or thoughts in your head. Get them out onto paper where you can then think about them. So think of all the thoughts, ideas, goals as pieces, as little things, items that are all in your head. And they are jumbled up in your head. And that's one of the reasons why you feel scattered and overwhelmed. It's because your head is trying to keep all these items together, sorted, prioritized, reminding you at the right time. So a brain dump is putting all of those items into words or pictures, I suppose, if you're a doodler, but put it onto paper so that then your head is clear and you can see, like actually see visually all those things that you're dealing with. And because your head is now clear, you can problem solve and think more creatively. It's going to be much more simple to think through your situation when all the pieces are on paper in front of you instead of trying to keep them straight in your head. So you're going to be brain dumping all the way through the program, and we're going to start it now. And okay, so is it Mignon? I'm sorry. I know that's the problem with seeing names and not knowing how to say them. You can brain dump with pen and paper. You can also open up Evernote, open up, if you use maybe Google Keep. If typing is faster, typing is faster for me. But I'll do either, kind of depending on what it is I'm brain dumping about. And I often brain dump the same things over and over. That's totally normal. And it's still a sanity saver, even if it's over and over, because that just means that it's come back into your head and you need to get it out again. And then you can take a step forward. But things are going to keep coming back. So don't get discouraged if you're brain dumping the same things over and over. Oftentimes that'll happen to me and I'll look at it and I'll say, so I felt really overwhelmed, but this is actually just normal. Like all this is just my normal stuff that I'm always worried about or always trying to do and never feeling like I succeed. Okay, I can keep going. I went through a phase where I felt overwhelmed, and then I look at it all and I go, oh, okay, this is just my normal life, turns out. So, then you can pray over it and move forward. And that as we work through simplified organization, we will be processing the brain dump, which can be overwhelming when you've filled pages and pages. But yes, it is processing on paper, and it really is helpful. It really clears your head and helps you think straight. And so I highly suggest it. And it's pretty much an essential part of the course. So, okay. So whether you have Evernote open or you have a notebook, whatever it is that you have to work on for your brain dump, I want you to start by writing out all the things that that you are hoping to get out of this interval intensive. Like why did you join? What would be your ideal outcome? And it's okay if you say, like, I know this is unrealistic, but this is my ideal. It's better to have it on paper and see it than to hold it back or to dismiss it. Like, get the thought out of your head and put it on paper. Even if it's unrealistic, even if it's not the goal that you're going to ultimately claim, if it occurs to you while you're thinking through this, write it down, add it to the list. So what are you hoping to get out of the interval intensive? Are there specific areas of your house that you would like to tackle and solve? Are there specifics of your situation that you want to troubleshoot and, get a grasp on? Is it your planner or your calendar? What is the biggest piece of your plan that's not working for you right now, or the biggest part of your home or your routine or your attitude? What is it that you would like to see as a result of the interval intensive? Write it all down. Put those thoughts onto paper. Like I said, no matter how unrealistic, just let the thoughts kind of flow and brain dump. Just get it out of your head and onto paper. And then I'll take a sip of coffee while you are writing. If you have one that you would like to share, pop that in, but make sure that you are writing things down. What is a goal, any possible goal that you can think of that you would like to get out of this interval intensive? All right, get out of baby survival mode, get ready for school this winter. Major attitude shift. We'll be doing an attitude audit or attitude brain dumping on Monday's workshop too. Eliminate clutter. Okay, good. A place for everything. Getting ready to move. Yes. So you can start this now, but also as you have time to come back and kind of flesh out your brain dump, take things like eliminate clutter, or prepare for the move, or get out of baby survival mode, and kind of break those out into specifics. So if you do mind mapping, or just keep it lists, I'm a much more linear thinker, so mine just always look like bullet point lists, but I've seen some that look really creative. And so, break things down, start with that big picture. But when you come back to it, like break it out into the pieces. Okay, routines, getting things done rather than just holding on to the brain dumps. Yeah, the brain dump is not an action list. It's just a sanity strategy. And then we have to do something with all that, which we will be doing together during this interval intensive. All right, implement interval planning. Goals for the course, for the interval intensive. What are you hoping to get out of it? Order my email inbox. Oh my, yes. Okay, good. Doable home system that the kids can follow. That's a good specific there, because That changes the approach and the strategies that you think of, right? More independence for kids and routines. Good one, Betsy. Knowing how to juggle and balance the different parts, house, homeschool, and work, adding joy to every day. More joy, less feeling overwhelmed. Be ready for homeschool each day. These are great. Okay, recognize the areas that need my attention. I've been like, I don't even know what I should be doing. Sometimes it's just like figuring out. Less mental churn. Good. That's exactly what the brain dump will help with. So that's a good one. Feel ready for the arrival of number 3. Good. More time for prayer. Overcoming procrastination. Okay, these are great. So as they occur to you, keep writing them down. But here's one thing that I would like you to do now. Look over what you have on your brain dump and put a big X through any of the hopes and dreams that amount to wishing that you were someone else. I get in it, like, I don't, surely I'm not the only one. Where and it's like, what I actually want out of this is just to be a different person. Like, that would be really convenient. No, any person can have a better attitude, Stephanie. But your plan to hike the Appalachian Trail. But if mine yeah, perfectly organized life and be awesome. Exactly. Like, just like for my summer plan is always like clean and organize the entire house, right? And then so I just get that out there and say, well, that's what I would like to do this summer. And I said, okay, so it's not actually going to happen. So what can happen where, what's the most important piece to clean and organize that's going to have the biggest effect on my attitude or the upcoming school year? Just lay out, get it out there that what I really want is to clean and organize the whole house and for it to stay there. Like, I would just like to defy the reality of entropy. I would like to put a plan in place and have cleaned and organized things so well that I will never need to do it again. And it's like, okay, so that's actually not the way the world works. And so that's never going to happen. So it's good to just get that out there, though, because then you're not like shoving it to the back of your mind or just submerging it. You're getting it out there, and then you can deal with it and say, okay, that's what I want, and that's not going to happen. So what can happen? Like, if I want the entirely cleaned and organized house, if I want to be the person who is perfectly organized, like, what does that look like to me? Let's like dig deeper and figure out, what would that look like? And what's the one piece of that that would make the biggest difference? Okay, or what are the goals that involve having your kids be other than they are? That's okay. So good. So it's the perfectly part. It's the whole picture all at once done part. It's the do it so I will never have to do it again part. Well, the brain dump, right now we're brain dumping goals. So the goal list is part of the brain dump, and we are crossing out things that amount to wishing we were someone else, wishing we lived somewhere else, and you're not moving, either where it's discontent or it's an ideal unrealistic, like cleaning and organizing the entire house when actually it's all And even if it's not all a wreck, like just the reality of family home life means it's not going to be all done all at the same time, because people are actually using it, which is what they're supposed to be doing and why we organize it. So we're going to address that attitude expectation part as we go along. But yes, cross out the impossible. If I'm bad at being on a schedule, is it unrealistic to wish I could do that? Okay, so that's a good question. And is having a plan for a clean, organized home reasonable? So it depends on what you mean by clean and organized, right? So picture whether it's being on schedule or being clean and organized. Like, think of what that looks like for you. And then think about the one piece that would make the most difference in that area, so that you're not going to try to jump to the end product, your ideal, like a perfectly scheduled person. Like, I'm bad at being on a schedule, so I'm going to schedule out my entire life and then force myself to keep it and do it until I can't. You know, we are going to work toward an ideal, not try to jump over and hit an ideal like first shot. So if you want to work toward being someone who keeps a schedule, think about or clean and organize your house, right? Think about your biggest pain points. And as you're thinking these out, like, you should be writing this down. Don't just let thoughts float in your head or memories, or put it out. Put it on paper. What are your biggest pain points in that area? And what do you think would solve one of those biggest pain points? So for staying on schedule, or maybe it's not being late to appointments, your calendar. Like, it doesn't have to be your whole week scheduled out and now you're going to try to force yourself to keep it. Maybe it's being late to commitments that you've made. So if that, just as an example, if that's what you were taking on as your primary goal for the interval, for this interval intensive, then you would really commit to that calendar and keeping it up to date. And that would be the top priority over any of the other work. That's the one thing you wouldn't let go of. If it's cleaning and organizing the whole house, then let yourself daydream and brainstorm what that looks like in the end. Figure out your biggest pain points in that, what really drives you crazy the most, and focus on one of those for making progress in. There's going to be time for decluttering. Put your declutter focus in that one spot. Okay, so Tammy says it's her desk. So that's perfect. Instead of thinking like, I have to handle the whole house, pick one area that your focus is really going to be on.